So if somebody's listening who went to Temple and
Matt, do you have a degree from Temple?
I do.
Matt, I got a degree from Temple.
is in a round-by-round fantasy draft,
Matt, were you in a round-by-round fantasy draft?
I was.
I was too, Matt.
they're just furious right now. They might not come back.
Yeah,
They're so mad at us.
Oh, no.
How does he know? Spotify, damn you. Spotify, stay out of my brain. It's the Bill Simmons podcast. I'm Chris.
And I'm Matt.
I said brain too hard and made me choke. Matt, there were 3 podcasts 2 weeks ago. We're talking about the week before Thanksgiving week.
Okay. It's all blur.
There was a Cousin Sal one.
Yeah.
There was the one with Raja Bell and Ryan Russillo.
Yep. That was the NBA draft one, I think, right?
Yeah, that's right. And then Kevin O'Connor and Norma Princiati.
Nora.
Actually named Nora.
Yeah. Norma.
Matt, we got an email from producer Pierre to the Bill Simmons podcast.
What did he say?
Sorry the anchor host screwed you, but happy you guys are back.
Yeah. We're
glad to be
happy too.
back. Yeah. Thanks, Pierre.
Them hoes. It's a weird insult. Like, why are they?
Remember when Michael Jordan was always calling people hoes?
I actually think he's a podcast host.
Well, I know he's not talking about Chris. Matt?
Or Matt.
No. It's the Bill Simmons podcast.
Here we go.
Hi folks, it's time for another episode of the Bill Simmons podcast. This is Chris and Matt. Here we go.
At 229, Matt, you'll never guess what type of basketball player is featured on the Book of Basketball 2.0 Season 2 episode, possibly 1 or 2.
I won't tell you who it is, but it's another famous person.
What if he chose, like, I'm trying to think of some non-famous basketball player.
Well, Matt, you probably don't know of any non-famous basketball players unless you're related to them or have coached them on, like, your kids' teams.
I mean, I guess I am a non-famous basketball player in that I am not famous and I have on occasion played basketball.
Sign you up for Book of Basketball 2.0 Season 2. Yeah. Pearl Jam at 2:53. At 4:34, a Swallow and Buffalo Bill nominee.
But that was actually, he's done a good job the last year.
It sounded like he was about to say, left a good job in the city, working for the man every night and day. Did you think there was just a hint of either Ike and Tina Turner or CCR in there?
Okay.
At 11:19, architecture.
The Hail Mary to Hopkins took the ceiling off today.
The way it worked was DeAndre Hopkins caught an amazing Hail Mary from Kyler Murray for the Cardinals to win. And as a result, the day no longer had a ceiling.
Right.
Does this make sense? I mean,
No, it doesn't make any sense. A day cannot have a ceiling.
But figuratively?
No, it can't even have a, that's not even a saying.
Like your expectations should no longer have the limit your expectations originally had?
That is very dumb.
All right. At 11:41, another Swallow and possible Buffalo Bill nominee.
Since he was in Cleveland. And
dude, just finish. You know, the problem is all the blood in his lips and throat were fighting his
the
talk.
words.
Yes. At 24:14, if you want to talk about demeanors, Matt, what you want to have is a good one.
The good demeanor.
minus 21, and you would just think he's playing in like some random event in Houston on a Friday.
Right. Yeah.
Which is the good demeanor.
Don't know what that means. I don't even know what that has to do with what he's talking about. Which is the good demeanor.
Matt, if someone from The Wizard of Oz, the good guy party, but not Dorothy or the lion or the scarecrow, uses his physical presence or the implication of violence to make you feel worried, what verb is that guy doing?
Tin?
Tin, correct. Here's the whole verb at 24:26.
It feels less intimidating.
Intimidating? Okay.
That's right. At 26:44, a day which will live in infamy.
I just think of that day we walked down the hallway. I think it really was like the greatest.
The day we walked down the hallway.
I think it's a bail, or possibly he's saying hallway, and it just
I think it's hallway.
down the hallway.
But it sounded like hallway, although I guess it could be 2 words, whole way.
We're walking down the whole way.
Yeah.
I guess so. Are you walking down part of the way? No.
The whole way.
Whole way. At 27:15, at 29:50, Bill and Sal are talking about plays.
It was the right play. They kneel on the next game, they win.
They would kneel in the next game.
And then they win.
What they want to do is kneel so that all the time runs out of the entire game the next time they play a game. And as a result, they win.
Yeah, I don't understand how they
neither
win.
team can score. Well, because they have the tiebreaker, possibly.
Oh, okay.
At 29:55, I have never heard Bill use a word like this with so much enthusiasm. This is part 1 of 2.
And then he just veered. Like it was like watching a car veer away from a divider. He just veered out of bounds at like the half-yard line.
Apparently, Bill thinks veer is a much more important word because he goes on to say this at 30 minutes and 20 seconds.
He literally veered.
Merriam-Webster, to change direction or course.
All right. Turn.
To shift in a clockwise direction. Doesn't even have to be sharply. At 38 minutes.
The rabbit in the September that grabs the MVP favorite thing.
Wow. There was nothing about that was not Bill Simmons. A couple of unnecessary articles, a thing.
And it didn't make sense.
A random analogy. Also a swallow. Perfect. Just perfect. Matt, listen to this redundancy at 40-11.
We have some ample candidates for our cross-off game.
The candidates are ample. Does that
mean they're large-breasted?
Some buxom candidates. At 40-18, weird click.
Miami, let's talk about them quickly.
At 40-53, if you play a single member of the newest Los Angeles, that is not the Rams, football team, it's one of these.
It's all of a sudden the Charger. Now it's 14-7.
Right. All of the sudden the Charger.
Maybe it's like a war horse.
Or like you're plugging your phone in.
Someone pointed this out, Matt, I think on Reddit, at 45-25. This is a foreshadowing moment.
So we have Giants, Jets, Jaguars, Bengals, Texans, Chargers.
Did you hear the first name he listed in that list?
Giants.
Giants, that's correct.
So we have Giants.
Now, do you know in what conference they play?
The NFC.
And in what division in the NFC?
East.
The NFC East, correct. Now, that was 45-25. This is at 45-36, 11 seconds later.
I refuse to cross off anyone in the NFC East for the seventh podcast in a row.
What about the Giants, dude?
Yep.
You just listed them first.
Yep, and they're actually in first place.
Not only that, he has continued to uncross them off since this podcast. Matt, at 51-55, Bill is talking about Aqib Talib.
Yeah.
And how he prefers him to some of the other play-by-play or color announcers. This is why.
Okay. He was certainly more interesting than a lot of these generic guys that never know who, or like the Dick Stockton and whoever.
The generic guys.
You never know who. You never know what their name is. You never know if it's about to be a surprise announcer.
At Aldi, they have pretty good generic Cocoa Pebbles. They're called Cocoa Rice.
I like their Raisin Bran Crunch.
Okay.
I usually supplement it with a little bit extra granola. He also has a "the" in front of Dick Stockton to round things out with unnecessary article.
The Dick Stockton and whoever.
At 53-08, 75%.
I would rather have that than 75%. It was
just 75%. At 54-51, this laughter. At 55-40, this swallow.
And this is an alarming game.
At 56-58, a Joe Bluth nominee.
They just look sloppy.
At 58-22, German syntax.
They can defend pretty well past stuff.
They can pretend past stuff. Yeah.
Pretty well past stuff. At 103-34, this Joe Bluth nominee. At 103-41, a swallow.
But the stuff after the game was really strange because they were like, it seemed like almost a culmination.
At 106-16, more hate for the snake draft.
Just being auctions, people. Yeah, the kids' table.
Right. That's all.
That's what it should be called. The kids' table leagues.
Yeah.
Yeah, like my son. You get to be like my son if you're a round by round thing. People get mad and they're like, oh, fuck you. But I'm right. There's no argument here. Be in an auction. That's the real way to do it.
Yep.
You and I have a fantasy team together in our snake draft fantasy league.
Very bad.
3-8?
No, he won this week, 4-8.
Oh.
Yeah. I think there's like an outside chance. I feel like this is the last week, and if we win, we might be the last team to get in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm sure people love listening to us talk about our fantasy team. We're not even famous people.
Yeah. Hey, this is such a weird thing for him to get so, like, he gets so upset about this, and then his response to people being like, hey, Bill, we're just trying to have a good time and do our own fantasy thing. You don't got to make fun of us, is you. Yes. I hate you.
Yes. At 107-47, if you ever wondered why Bill only talks about certain Boston sports teams.
I mean, granted, I had money on the Ravens, but once it became clear the Pats were going to win, it was impossible not to root for the Pats.
Once it became clear my favorite team,
yes,
the team I talk about ad nauseum, was going to win, at that point, I determined I would start to root for my favorite team again.
Yes.
This is such a bunch of
Well, when you have a dad
he should be so embarrassed.
Only decided to be a Boston sports fan sometime late in life when he moved there.
At 109-41, this laughter. At 113-28, More hate for Chris and Matt, we think.
The Temple round by round guy's furious right now.
Not furious, just disappointed, Bill. Disappointed in you, Bill.
I think they're talking about this like, yeah, this guy really doesn't exist. And we're like, this motherfucker.
Here's 200% more of this guy than you believed existed. At 1:15:23, I take this for my depression and anxiety.
We get Dalton in this game?
Dalton in. When you feel like your life is terrible, watch this guy play football. Dalton in.
Dalton?
Don't take if Dalton in makes you want to blow your brains out. At 1:16, this swallow.
Just find another.
Let me tell you something.
At 1:16:12, a swallow and then a missing article.
So if they beat Bears, Cowboys back to back.
At 1:19:49, this laughter. At 1:22:47, this Joe Bluth nominee. At 1:29:13, this swallow.
The question for me is,
At 1:29:35, my notes say ass. You knew this one? How are you looking through? Because I sent you the notes ahead of time.
questions ass.
Questions ass.
He means asked,
Yeah,
or possibly the questions donkey.
Okay.
At 1:32:22, this laughter. At 1:33:54, Bill is talking about how difficult it is for his dad to log on to Bill's, I can't remember what, like Hulu or something.
Yeah.
And Bill the whole time is trying to explain what the password is over the phone.
Now I'm going like letter by letter. Doesn't work. And then I'm like, did you do the capital for, because you got to put the capital in the password because you have to, oh no, I didn't do that. Now we got to start over.
It's very
Doesn't
slow.
work.
Dude, just text him the password. Or take a picture of the password, which is what Sal proposes here at 1:37:12. By the way, this is what Bill says about his password, his theoretical password at 1:34:21.
All I'm doing is giving him like 8 letters and a couple numbers.
You know what Bill Simmons, I think it's his Twitter handle or his Instagram handle is?
Sports Guy 33 or Bill Simmons 33?
I think it's B Simmons 33. You know how many letters are in B Simmons 33?
Well, there are 8 letters.
Yes. And you know how many numbers?
A couple.
Bill. Oh, I can't
How
wait
great
to
would
hack
it
this
be
guy.
if that was his password?
What we should do is we should hack something that belongs to him, like his Instagram account, and then just say, you got burnt by 2 guys from Temple who participate in this draft. But we're too dumb for that. Who was the bad guy on the Mutiny on the Bounty?
I have no idea.
Well, I think this is the superlative one at 1:35:09.
You know how they have like the Best Buy?
Best Bly.
Isn't it? Wasn't the guy's name Bly? At 1:36:39, this laughter. At 1:37:38, I think he means podcast.
Every Sunday we do the packet. It's like,
Podcast.
It's not even a Boston accent version of podcast.
At 1:38:14, sounds painful.
because I took my thing off.
Oh,
Matt,
what do you use?
Random sounds. One of those weird urethra straws. What are those called?
Gauge.
Catheter.
Oh, okay. I guess it's sort of a urethra straw.
At 1:41:38, this laughter.
We bet on everything.
We'll be back after this. That implies, Matt, that there's some sort of commercial, which there's not. Matt, we'd like to thank all the people who support us on Patreon
Yeah.
by giving us free money.
Thank you.
Even though we told all those people, stop giving us free money because we're not doing a damn podcast. Those of you who have given us money, more power to you. Those of you who gave us money, we still love you.
Wait, are there people who are still giving us money?
I think so. In a telling display of our technological acumen, Matt and I couldn't figure out the time changes on the second episode of 2 weeks ago. That was the post-NBA draft episode with Raja Bell and Ryan Russillo. Matt, here are some things Bill and his guests found delicious in the last week, or at least some funny sounding noises.
All these players. They,
Wow.
Crazy.
Wow.
So,
It's like, because I wanted to.
110. End zone. Yeah.
Ass.
What does Minnesota have?
Oh, against a frisky.
Burgess got,
Wow.
just got
Oh.
and then I think 8 of these, and that's the same to where
There.
Sam Johnson's been a more and like
But if you, but
Ooh. Ugh.
so, and just
It's like, wow.
he was
Ooh. Wow.
in Michigan
Oh.
and stable.
Matt, the third podcast of 2 weeks ago featured Kevin and Nor on November 19th. It was 2 hours, 5 minutes, and 19 seconds. Pearl Jam at 2:15. At 5:07, sounds like a blues song somehow.
The only injury luck he's ever had has been with like Dwayne Wade's knee in one of the Miami finals, or like when Kevin Love got hurt.
If it wasn't for injury luck, he wouldn't have no luck at all. But he doesn't mean injury luck. He means bad injury luck. And it wasn't his injury.
No.
Makes sense on two different levels. At 7:23, possibly a time paradox.
And Shaq is, really never as dominant as he was ever going to be after 03-04.
I remember when I listened to this in the car, I repeated it out loud.
He's never really as dominant as he was ever going to be.
What?
It makes it sound like Shaq was foretold.
It's an alternate universe thing.
Dominant, but he did not fulfill his dominant destiny.
It's like there is a universe in which Shaq was never as dominant as he was in some other universe. But if all things are possible at all times, then Shaq was never as dominant as he was going to be.
Except for in the one universe where all things were possible and he fulfilled.
Yeah, but it's like that argument. There's some like argument for the existence of God where it's like if God is omniscient and all powerful and everywhere, and it is possible that God exists, and if he exists in some world, then he must exist in all worlds or something like that. It's some thought experiment. That's Shaq.
Can Shaq create a stone that even Shaq can't pick up? At 7:34, more high-level theo-philosophical thought.
You look at the Suns and those Nash teams, and maybe they didn't play the same level of games.
What level of games are these NBA teams going to play? Moderate. How about the other ones? Very high.
Yes.
At 7:43.
And then to also check all the injury boxes.
This is a weird list that has boxes for injuries. You know what it reminds me of? It's like, what if you turned the delightful game operation into a list?
It's like, all right, we got to see if you can check all the injury boxes. Broken arm? Yes, I've had that.
Yeah.
Okay, anal fissure? Yeah, I think I had one of those. All right, we're just getting started. There's a lot of other injuries.
At 10:32, this is a commercial, so this means Bill is reading somebody else's words. And I would just like to call out this ad genius because it makes no sense.
Invent your possibility.
You want to have your own possibility.
Right.
Don't purchase it.
No. Or create it.
Come up with it. Well, you would create it by process of invention. Now you have a possibility, one you invented yourself.
No, because I can invent a...
You can invent something that you didn't create?
I could invent a...
Stopwatch?
Yeah, but I couldn't build it myself.
Oh, I see.
So, like, I could come up with the idea.
It's even better. Hey, do you have a possibility? Well, I have an idea for one.
Can you create it? Well, no, I'll need some help with that.
Matt, at 12 minutes, it appears the money is asleep.
He can make more money over there.
Here's my notes at 12:43. The Kinds are always the binder. number one draft pick.
The Kings are always the number one draft pick for if there's going to be some sort of fiasco involving an aborted trade or some sort of rule interpretation that got screwed up. I would say the Kings are the number one draft pick, right?
So the draft is there's going to be some sort of fiasco.
We're in the some sort of fiasco league.
Right.
You can select any team you want because you think that team will be the best at helping ensure you do well at fiascos. If you select the Kings first, the chances that they will be able to ensure your team continues to fiasco in the future, those chances go up.
Right. But if it's a snake draft, you're a moron.
Yeah, right. No auction draft for fiascos. At 14:03, man, I looked, and this is not a word.
How chicanerous they can get.
Chicanery is a word. Chicanerous, not. At 21:37, this sounds like it was poorly translated from another language by someone who doesn't speak English natively.
And what I've heard is the same what you've probably heard.
At 27:12.
I don't think it's realistic to win a title with a small ball lineup anymore. I think you can do it in certain situations.
It'd have to be in a fake universe. I think George R.R. Martin wrote a book about it.
I thought you were going to say it was drawn by M.C. Escher. It's surrealistic, but not realistic. At 28:13.
I'm not at the point of the drive them to the airport point that I was with Kyrie.
Now, I want to get to a point. Which point? Well, I want to get to the drive them to the airport point. It's a point within a point. This is like, what if you took a picture with one phone of a Google Maps location on another phone and then texted it to your dad so he'd get to your Amazon account? How about that?
Okay. That works.
At 2913, hose.
I'm like your girlfriend. But you're not with your wife, Chris.
You understand?
No.
Bill's trying to say, Kevin, normally you do podcasts with Chris, not me, a different Chris. But now you're not. You're doing a podcast with someone else. So Chris is your wife, but I am your mistress.
And you called me by your wife's name?
At 3057, unnecessary article.
I'll send the Kelly Oubre your way.
At 3251.
Shows they're the proven fuel of the best. Then, now, and forever.
Now, Gatorade is the proven fuel of the best, but it's not enough to be the proven fuel of the best. By the way, how are they proven to be the fuel of the best? It means that people who have won championships have at times taken money in order to drink Gatorade. But it's not enough to just
say
accept
they
that
drink
money.
Gatorade.
Well, they probably drink it in the commercials or something that looks like Gatorade
it's
in a
definitely
Gatorade
not,
bottle.
yeah.
But then you also have to prove that. Invent your proof. Matt, at 3320, Bill is talking about somebody who was taken in the NBA draft. I think it was Halliburton.
Yeah.
And he's talking about the way Halliburton has decided where he will play in the NBA.
Uh-huh.
Somehow it involves an entirely different bar sport.
This was a kid who was pretty confident, who looked at the dartboard and said,
He wants to play for the Sacramento Kings. There is no person on earth who wants to play for the Kings.
Matt, allow me to rebut your point succinctly. Dartboard.
Dartboard.
At 34-31, I think these kids should have stayed in school.
he was basically like going to getting his master's on how to play point guard with those guys for 50 games.
Where did he get his bachelor's in how to play point guard? At 39-44, I'm not sure who this somebody is, but she sounds beautiful.
Like even just Fox on somebody who's making $7 million a year.
If he said Fox on somebody, it makes it sound like the somebody is a team.
Right.
When he goes on to say somebody who's making $7 million a year, it does make it sound like De'Aaron Fox is on top of another person.
Yes.
Because teams sure as shit aren't making $7 million a year. At 39-54, he means extension, but he does not say extension.
Who hasn't even hit his first rookie big contract.
You only get one rookie contract.
Well, it's his first rookie big contract.
But still, it's not like you get your rookie contract and then a big rookie contract.
Well, even if that was the case, this is only his first rookie big contract. So it would mean there was a second rookie big contract in addition to his
Regardless
rookie
of how many rookie contracts you get, you only get two big ones. At 41-34, unnecessary article.
So in the 02 and 03, they had some good battles.
At 46-26, Bill burps.
We all had way more than enough time to read about all these dudes. The football background.
I just can't believe this guy's a professional, a millionaire professional. Matt, have you ever foretold the future using tea?
The leaves.
Yeah, how do you do it?
Well, I think that there are some tea leaves that float to the top of the tea, and then some huckster pretends they mean something.
It's possible also that you drink all the tea and then there's tea leaves on the bottom.
Okay,
of the
fine,
glass,
same
and then you read them.
Right.
You don't do this at 50-39.
I thought there were a lot of tea leaves dropped at the draft.
Like they're kernels.
What is another fortune-telling device?
Well,
or
it's
method
not.
that
It's
involves
not
dropping
fortune
things?
telling. It's more like you know how like you would leave breadcrumbs as like
Oh,
a trail. Like
yeah.
I think he's mixing those metaphors.
At 50-55, I think Bill is referencing the co-host to the Coast to Coast with Space Ghost show.
They bring back Danny Green, Curry.
Crack, who they're bringing.
Yeah, he's like the beak guy, right?
At 52-39, bail.
I think he
Wouldn't
gets
shock
spun
me.
in the next 2 bit. But anyway,
He gets spun in the next.
But anyway,
At 56-23, I continue to take issue with Bill's attempt to use this cliche and his continued failure to do so accurately.
and then Belichick says, "Hold my beer."
Hold my beer is when somebody does something stupid
Yeah.
and then someone else does something stupider to
Right.
top it. Hold my beer, per dictionary.com, is an expression joked about being said before an unthinking person does something dangerous or stupid. On the internet, hold my beer is used to make fun of decisions that are seen to be bad, made by public figures or companies. Bill does not know it, but he is making fun of Bill Belichick by saying hold my beer in this situation. Also, Grack.
Grat comes flying in.
At 103.38, I don't know why we have to bring lawyers into it.
2 plays away from 6-3.
Technically, like if we're in a court of law
And you're like, here were the two plays. If Cam gets this, they beat Seattle. And if Cam holds on to the ball here, they might beat Buffalo. It's fair.
Bill's point apparently is if you're going to try to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that in the event, hypothetically speaking, that Cam Newton had done one of two different plays correctly, the Patriots would have more wins. I don't know.
It makes no sense.
Did somebody have to get sworn in before this started? At 104.27. I have to agree.
There's a weird spite thing with the Boston fans that's almost like we're a bunch of ninth graders whose boyfriend or girlfriend dumped us, and then you're just kind of following them on Facebook, getting mad at who they date. Like it's turned us into a bunch of 14-year-olds.
Yeah. Seems about right.
But are you jealous that he did not apply that to Philadelphia fans?
No, we're better than that.
At 115.04.
First of all, the Breeze thing, he's obviously physically is where it is, and then it finally broke last week. But
he
yes,
is obviously physically is where it is. God, it's like, Jesus Christ, Bill.
By the way, just in case our listener out there wonders what we're talking about or wonders what Bill was talking about, it's Drew Brees. So his physically is where it is Drew Brees' physically. Yeah. Drew Brees' physically is where it is. Jesus. Wow. At 115.44, who's giving what to whom?
Even last week when they were giving the Saints, and then the punt returner fumbled the punt. It was like the whole game flipped.
Someone is giving the Saints, in theory, to someone or something. Right. Matt, at 118.49, Bill doubles the number of games that were supposed to be on Thanksgiving.
You have 6 games on that Thursday, then six teams with a 10-day bye before the next game. And
no, you have 3. At 120.22, Matt, do you remember when Bill and I think Sal were making jokes about the guy whose last name is Luton?
Yeah.
They were talking about Luton-Free?
Yeah.
Jake Luton-Free?
All right, this is what Bill says in order to that joke up at 120.22.
As much as I like Jake Luton-Free.
The joke is not Luton-Free. It is no longer a joke if you don't pronounce Luton, because that rhymes with gluten, and gluten-free is like a thing. Gluton is not a thing.
Not a thing.
At 123.33, this Joe Bluth nominee.
Or to have we're just going to walk in and watch. Like, they haven't won anything yet.
At 125.36, this sounds like an excellent lyric from a soul song.
How dare you did that thing with the bus.
That thing you do.
For some reason, it always makes me think of this song, Do That To Me, Baby, one more time. How dare you did that thing with the bus. Once and again.
I just like that you have the words.
Is that how it goes? At 134.10, unnecessary article.
Where are you in the Kamara for the MVP?
At 142.22.
I'm in disbelief by them.
Where were you located when you were in disbelief? Was it by that person? No.
Okay, I like that. It's a location thing. Yeah.
At 143.03, I can't believe the strength of Bill Simmons' spine.
I don't have a firm opinion on unless you do.
I don't have a firm opinion unless you do.
And then I would adopt your opinion because I do not want to be alone in my opinion.
Please tell me what to believe, Nora. At 147.30, this swallow.
I'm going to sprinkle a little on the Packers. I'm not sure how much yet. Last one. I'm looking to make sure the line hasn't changed. Okay. Last one.
At 153.12, this is not what inkling means.
And I'm going to sprinkle a tiny, just a smidge on Andy Dalton. Just an
inkling.
Inkling means a slight knowledge or vague notion, per Merriam-Webster. Bill is planning to bet a slight knowledge on Andy Dalton. Or maybe he is willing to wager a suggestion on
That's
Andy Dalton.
That's got to be it.
Matt, this is subject-verb agreement into, as per my notes, weird voice at 157.38.
What is your thoughts on the conspiracy stuff that they knew this Claire thing was going to play out the way it did? So they had...
Sounds like he was auditioning for the Muppet Show.
I was going to say it was
episode.
a Muppet.
At 157.54, this swallow.
Claire was going to self-destruct or fall in love immediately or whatever. And
at 158.04, this swallow.
And then agree on a contract with her. You know.
At 159.02, a bail.
I think they might have done it on purpose. Claire.
I think they might have done it on person Claire.
He was like, well, I was going to say purpose, but I said purse. It. At 2:03:42.
It's perfect storm when you can.
Where's the article?
It's perfect storm.
That's what Cro-Mag Thor says. And this is how you end a podcast, Matt.
That's it for the podcast.
The podcast is over. For those of you wondering where the second of the 3 episodes were,
It was Bill's fault. Or
we
Kyle's.
changed something with the bookmarks. My name is Chris.
And I met.
Grat comes flying in, and that's it for the podcast.